Hey, hello everybody, good morning or good afternoon now. This is Ahmed Fauzi. Today we will discuss the PCI DSS roadmap and how we can implement the PCI DSS certification requirement in our environment. Today we will discuss all of that into details and we will discuss and explore the roadmap of implementing this certification and to be compliant at the end with the PCI DSS certification requirement. But let's understand more about the certificate. Our presentation here will be for we will speak and discuss in our meeting here. We will discuss for around 25 minutes, and then we will accept your questions, fine, and start to answer your questions. So during this webinar, if you have any question, you can you can write it down, fine, and discuss later after our presentation. First of all, we have to understand why we need this PCI DSS certification and what is the reflection of the PCI DSS certification for our business. Then we will discuss the implementation in details, the implementation for the PCI DSS requirements and what you have to have everything in place. And then we will discuss how you can at the end, as we say, how you can at the end maintain the certification here and maintain your compliance status, fine, to be compliant all the time with the PCI DSS certification. So let's start with the first here, fine. What's the meaning of PCI DSS here? Fine. PCI DSS here, it is Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards. It's required to be implemented if you have any of the following processes, activities inside your organization. First, if you are proceeding credit card information, part of your transactions, part of your processing for data is including processing for credit card information. Or if you are providing a service that proceeds credit card information, like many fintech organizations nowadays, they are depending on proceeding credit card information. Some of them store credit card information. So if you are storing credit card information, it will be required from you to be PCI DSS compliant. If you transmit credit card information for a reason or another inside your infrastructure, inside your application, fine. And nowadays, to be honest with each other's, PCI DSS it's converted to be, in some countries, it can be converted to be a regulation requirement, a regulator requirement, or some sort of regulatory compliance. That's to get a license to run as a fintech, to work as a fintech inside your organization, you have to be PCI DSS certified, even if you are not storing credit card information. It's giving here your regulator, your partner, client, some sort of trust, fine, for your, as we call it here, for your level of confidence, for your level of giving a level of confidence for your processing, for your information security controls. Why? Because to be PCI DSS compliant, here you have to do a lot of work, a lot of due diligence and due care for your information security program, for your infrastructure, and consider all of that from information security perspective, from confidentiality perspective, from integrity perspective. So as we call it here in the PCI DSS, it's requiring, there is here some sort of, as we call it here, some sort of requirements. Requirements for what? Requirements for the requirements here for some many technical controls, and many technical controls, many also governance controls or procedures to show that your clients, your partners, that you do care for your information security. Let's here explore the steps of being compliant. First of all, you have to make something, we call it here scoping. Scoping to make scoping here for the PCI DSS, fine, and make sure that you are working on this scope, fine, do you care for this scope, and this scope here, it is the only that is related to the CHD. CHD stands for cardholder information. If you sure here that you are proceeding your credit card information in this infrastructure, in this scope only, so this part will be the PCI DSS scope. It will not be the entire organization. Again, PCI DSS or the certificate of PCI DSS, you will get on a scope. Scope, not everything inside your organization. Assuming some organization, maybe you have 1,000 server, 300 network device, many endpoints. So we will get the PCI DSS across all of this organization? No. We will get our PCI DSS across the servers that is running inside the scope of the PCI DSS only, which is mean dealing with credit card information only. And the servers that you are installing to support the servers. The servers that providing you with some security services like the antivirus, SIEM solution, security information and event manager, the log analyzer, the log correlator, syslog to keep the logs offline, the FIM solution, file integrity monitoring, to monitor the file changes. So all of this will be part of the scope. The domain controller that enforces the policies. I am enforcing my policies, my password policy through a group policy from my Active Directory. So at the end, all of this will be part of your scope. In addition to that, after performing here the scoping, you have to perform a gap analysis. Yes, we still here in first step. Performing gap analysis, you have two ways to do it. You have two ways to do and perform the PCI DSS here implementation. You can do it in two ways. First way, or first known ways, fine, is to hire somebody, fine, as a consultant or getting a service from a company that providing you with a consultant that can help you to do it. Second way, that you hire full-time employee that has enough experience in implementing the PCI DSS. Maybe it will be here 2 or 3, because now I will hire a CISO with an experience 15 years to implement the PCI DSS. Maybe on this time, I will need also a penetration tester. I will need some IT security persons to enforce the controls and make some configuration for the hardware or something like that. So maybe you will hire a team or give a training for a team that you have inside your organization, or outsource. Outsource here the implementation for some sort of consultants or one consultant, one company that has the capabilities to start the gap analysis and make the implementation for you. After performing the gap analysis, we will get some action items. The action items, it will be installed in an action tracker, fine, and then Gantt chart, project timeline to take the necessary actions to close the gaps. Close the gaps, yes. Close the gaps, something very efficient, something very important for you. To control and list all the gaps that you have to list all of them, and make sure that you are working here in an organized way to close all of these gaps with a timeline, with monitoring on the Gantt chart that you have. Then you will be able, after closing all of these gaps and implement the action items here, now we are ready for the audit. Who is performing the audit? Who is performing the audit? The dedicated persons or the only authorized persons that can perform the audit, we call them QSA, Qualified Security Assessor, somebody authorized from the PCI DSS Council that will make an audit. It shouldn't be the same team. For example, if there is an implementation you will go through with, it doesn't make sense to be both by the same team. For example, I cannot be your implementer and your auditor. So I will implement what I made with my hand, doesn't make any sense. PCI Council reject such models. And all the auditors understand that. So how we can do? You have to have implementation team different from the qualified security assessors teams, the teams that can implement everything by hand. So at the end of the day, the implementer will implement everything by hand. Right? The implementer will implement everything by hand, and then the auditor will audit the implementation, will perform a review and collect and review all the evidences that give him and give the PCI DSS Council, the PCI Council here, the trust that you are doing here a lot of care for the information security programs that you have, that you are due diligence for the information security requirements or for the information security controls that you have. So at the end of the day, we can call this as the final audit. What is the final audit? The final audit here, this is the audit by the QSA, and the official audit here that will let us get the deliverable of the project. What will be the deliverable of the project here? The deliverable of the project here will be first of all, it will be something that we call it here, the AOC, the most important document that you have to have. What is the AOC? The attestation of compliance. Attestation of compliance. As you see, attestation of compliance. This is a document you can download from the PCI DSS, from the PCI Council website. And in this document, if you open this document, you can find that it is giving you explanation. Deep in explanation here, about the details of your implementation for the PCI DSS. First, you have, or the QSA, the Qualified Security Assessor, will write for you a description here about the scope of the PCI DSS. Business scope, technical scope. Business description, technical description. where the data exists, where is the data exists physically, assuming that I am hosting my data with X data center. X data center exists in this address. So I have to write down in this AOC the address, the physical address of this company, So at the end, we can say that we will write down here all the details or the needed details that we have to have for the implementation, for the implementations, and also a compliance on the level of the requirements. For example, we have 12 requirements. So you will get here a brief description about each requirement if you are compliant or not compliant. Of course, you have to be compliant. The result of this one must be compliant. Then you will get the certificate. So at the end, you will have here, I'm sorry, you will have here details here of the level of the compliance that you have for each requirement. Then it will be signed or stamped by the digital signature, or digitally signed by the QSA, the Qualified Security Assessor. So this here, most important than the certificate itself. Usually your clients will ask you for two things, for the OOC, for the COC, the station of compliance and the certification of compliance. Both will be required. Both must be in your hand. Both are giving us here a level of confidence that you are really compliant. However, the PCI DSS reputation, it's very good. So there is no room here. There is no tolerance for somebody can provide you the certificate. However, your infrastructure is not providing or is not achieving here the real compliance, because the PCI Council here auditing the QSA himself. And all of your requirements will be uploaded to the or handed to the PCI Council. So there is no doubt. There is no doubt when somebody show me here a certificate, attestation of compliance, signed by QSA, fine. So I will have some doubt after that to say, oh, maybe there is something masked or something like that. No doubt for that. After that, you will get something, the third deliverable, we call it here ROC. First, AOC, attestation of compliance. Second, COC, certificate of compliance. Third is ROC, report of compliance. This is a technical report, can be 400, 500 pages, giving you a technical description, real description of how you got the PCI DSS implementation implemented here, fine, with the level of details for each point. Details for each point. For how you are compliant, and print screens from the evidences, the configuration that you have. And so this is the ROC, the report of the compliance, must be protected by a password because it contains a technical information. Then now you are compliant. After having here a journey inside this PCI, including performing penetration testing, external and internal, segmentation testing, vulnerability assessment that lead to a clear scan, which means that you are implementing the patches on time. Risk assessment, some sort of security awareness, something we call it here ASV, approved scanning vendor, scanned by ASV, approved scanning vendor, fine. So this is another layer of assurance that approved scanning vendor on the website of the PCI Council scanned your infrastructure, scanned your environment, fine, to make sure here that you are on the track, that you are implementing here everything in a good way, that you are already implemented a good implementation inside your organization. Your vulnerability scanning is good. So another scan from outside giving us more trust that you are on the track. Now I am compliant. Now I am here. Now I am compliant. What is next? What's next to do? Next to do is to maintain your compliance. Maintain your compliance, another journey with the implementation and so on. So another journey including the implementation of the below, the implementation or the reviewing for the below that you have implemented for clean vulnerability assessment, that you perform two penetration testing, internal and external, twice a year, segmentation testing, that you kept your logs 3 months online under SIEM solution analysis, and then 9 months offline in syslog, which is mean in total 1 year. Did you perform some security awareness? Did you perform risk analysis or risk assessment in generic? And again, is this scope? Did you maintain your scope across this year? If all is good, you will be recertified. You will get a new certification with a new attestation of compliance after adhering for another audit. After adhering for another real audit, fine, like the first one that you adhere to, fine. So at the end of the second year, you have to adhere to a real audit by the same QSA, or you can exchange your QSA, something else. Then you have to maintain for the third year, fourth year, and so on, to develop a program here. Fine. So this is how you can maintain your compliance. After that, we can discuss here a lot about the benefits of the PCI DSS. More recognition, more trust for your customers, peace of mind of the high sense of security, secure your business, increases the profit, of course. Marketing too. It can be a tool to open a new market, because there are some markets, there are some clients, some regulators will not allow you to work on this market without to be PCI DSS compliant. Fine. Some integrators will not allow you to integrate with them without being PCI DSS compliant. Some clients will not work with you, will not allow you to be a service provider for them without being PCI DSS compliant. The requirements we have in generic 12 requirements, the current version of the PCI DSS is 3.2.1. 3.2.1. We are expecting to get the PCI DSS 4 this year, at the end of this year, but at the end of this year, fine, but at the end, we have to understand something. We have to understand something. That I have to understand the following. That once PCI DSS version 4 got released, it will give you here, fine, a grace period here for 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, fine, to allow you to implement the new controls, the new requirements, fine. So usually no worries for the persons that will be certified on 3.2.1 today, tomorrow, at the end of the year. Fine, next year you will be also certified on 3.2.1. Fine. So no worries for the persons that are implementing and working, fine, strongly to implement the PCI DSS requirements. No worries. Don't think that one day that it will not be, it will not happen. It will not happen. By the PCI DSS Council say by today or by end of month, you have to adhere for the another PCI DSS compliance or for another requirements here for the PCI DSS version 4. And so at the end, you have to be ready for something like that. You have to be ready for the PCI DSS version 4, but at the end, you have around 2 years. 2 years for to have everything in place, to have everything implemented well, and for the 3.2.1. So this is our contact information. Find in our website iExperts.co and iExperts.uk. And we are happy to help you, to support you, to hear your questions regarding the PCI DSS. And we are open here to support you and answer all of your questions. But let's even by email, by messaging, on our website. But at the end, now we need here to hear you. If you have any question regarding the PCI DSS implementation, so we are happy to hear you. So could you write down your questions on the chat box? So it will be easier for me to answer all of your questions. All of your questions in a very easy way once I read here from the chat box. So you can place your questions here, and it will be our pleasure to answer back your questions. And so at the end of the day, this is let's return to this slide, and I am here waiting for you for your questions. And so if anybody has a question, please put on the text box, please. Thank you. One question here from Mustafa Hassan. First question here from Mustafa Hassan. Should PCI DSS be standard for any organization as an official security framework? To be honest with you, Mustafa, no. No. What you have to have is to, because you inside your organization you will not adhere just for the PCI DSS Council only, Mustafa. PCI DSS as an industrial compliance, not an international compliance. International compliance is ISO, ISMS, ISO 27201, ISO 27201. This is ISMS, Information Security Management System, Mustafa. So at the end, assuming that you have now the PCI DSS implemented, can be an official security framework, security standard framework for my organization, doesn't make sense. When I audit some organization, and I found in many organizations that the PCI DSS is leading the organization. We are doing this because of PCI. We are not doing it because of PCI. Remember, Mustafa, PCI DSS is requiring or considering from the CIA confidentiality, integrity, availability. PCI DSS is considering confidentiality and integrity only, but your business is considering availability as well, which is not exist in PCI DSS. Oh no, PCI DSS has no requirements to achieve the availability. Yes. One of my friends, I remember him, he was in a meeting, he said, could you open the PCI DSS requirements from the document on the website? You will not find the availability is exist. However, if you have backup, if you have DR, it will be part of the scope. But I designed the DR because of my business requirement, Mustafa. Your internal security framework must be considering CIA. You have to consider this in GRC. Do you know GRC? Governance, risk, compliance. Here is the compliance cornerstone, this big building. Very important to have this cornerstone inside your organization. Working without having in this building, without having this cornerstone in place, I doubt that it will be a good building that will be resistant and achieving my business needs and so on. So I will not find, I will not achieve that. I will not find, I will not be able to say that I am depending now on a real security program or GRC, governance, risk compliance, governance and management, real program, because my program, I'm building my security activities based on the governance, based on the business needs, which is mean PCI DSS required in fintech can be changed. I can change a little bit from my priorities if I'm working in a bank, maybe both from the same industry, but maybe different business directives. Fine, maybe something like that. I hope that I answered you, Mustafa. I hope that. Fine. Another question here from Jan. What about PCI DSS official implementation certification and training? I didn't get your question. I didn't get the meaning. Fine. Where we can get, yeah. If you, yes, I found the second part here of your question here. What about PCI DSS official implementation certification and training? If you want to be an implementer, there is here many training programs. Fine, you can attend many training programs around the globe for PCI DSS. Fine, implementer, usually the course is for 2 days. Fine, giving you the way how to implement the PCI DSS. Fine, requirements, helping you to understand. Fine, the PCI DSS requirement, helping you to understand, fine, how to gain the solid knowledge to be able to implement the PCI DSS requirement. There is many websites on the internet can providing you with a training. The PCI Council itself providing such a training here. Okay. I hope that I answered you also, Jan. Thank you. Hassan, Khlaf, are there any human resource and expertise requirement to become PCI DSS assessor? Do you mean qualified security assessor? Yes. PCI DSS, the QSA are a few persons around the world. QSA, qualified security assessors, are a few persons around the world. The company itself must be certified. And then you must be hired in a certification in a company that is approved from the PCI Council as QSA. Fine. So it is a process. You have to attend some training bus with some exams, fine, and get hired in something like this, or be certified as internal security assessor. Internal security assessor, which is mean that you will be hired inside a company to assess them against the PCI DSS and renew the certificate. I'm a bank, I'm certified, so I will hire internal security assessor. Fine. So this is here my question here. I hope this is also I answered your question, Hassan. Fine. Another question here from Ikra Khalil. If a bank already 3.2.1 certified, what they need to become here to be 4.0 compliant. However, there are some minor changes. Fine, not too much. We can call it here minor, but there are some changes here between 4 and 3.2.1. The final compliance is not released yet. The final requirement for 4 is not released yet. Fine. So once being released, fine, officially by the PCI Council, we can say the differences between both. Fine. Okay. Muhammad Mubarak, what is the difference between QSA and SAC, self-assessment questionnaire? Yes, this is a very good question. QSA, which means that you will be certified by the qualified security assessor, somebody external. SAC, which means that you will do the assessment for yourself. But again, there is a difference between the PCI DSS compliance certification by QSA and to be certified by SAC. Certified by SAC, which means that you assess yourself and you send this self-questionnaire, self-assessment for the PCI Council. Fine. So at the end, you passed here as a self-assessment. However, some regulators are not accepting this. They're asking you to be certified by QSA to assure that external eyes visited you from outside and gave here the real here opinion on that. I hope I answered you, Muhammad. Okay. If I host my server fintech project with a hosting as infrastructure as a service, does I need to be PCI DSS compliant, or it is enough for me to have certification from hosting provider? You have to certify your scope for PCI DSS compliant. It's preferred to go for somebody that is already cloud service provider that's already PCI DSS compliant, because all the requirements for physical security and the infrastructure, they implemented already. They already implemented. So you will implement for your part. You will implement for your part. Even they are not compliant, we will ask them to provide us some evidences. Fine. The question here also take care from a very important point, Muhammad. Here. There are some countries here, like the central bank in Egypt, for example, they are preventing you from hosting your data in a cloud service provider outside the land. So if you want to use infrastructure as a service, it must be also hosted inside the country, not outside. This is implemented many organizations. This is implemented in many countries by the way, Muhammad. So take care, because there are many organizations went to Amazon, fine, went to Azure and so on, fine, data center hosted in German. So at the end, after getting the PCI DSS, fine, it got refused by the regulator. Why? Because the regulator was very clear. Your cloud service provider must be exist in the same land. You understand me, Muhammad? Hey, Salah, are the devices within my local network, such as routers, that this requirement? Yes, all of these requirements, it's applied here on your scope, Salah. Fine. So all of the requirements must be, it will be implemented across everything, across all your switches, network devices, servers, and so on. So Hassan, PCI DSS value is the certificate, since my organization can show state of compliance to the QSA at the time of audit only. What do you think of that? No, it is a compliance here. It's a compliance here, Mustafa, that the value here, not just in the certificate, the value also in maintaining that, because you cannot do that before the you are now PCI DSS compliant. So you will spend here 1 month, 2, 3, 4, 11 months, and on the month number 12, you will start to consider, so let's consider the renewal for the PCI DSS. No, you cannot do that. You have to maintain. There are some tasks here, Mustafa, to maintain on daily basis, on weekly basis, quarterly, biannually, annually basis. You understand me? So when you provide another certificate of the recertification one, just mean that your organization here, and especially you was due diligence across all the year, not just at that. I hope you understand me, Mustafa, right? Adil Fathi, is it expected that there will be a lot of changes on 4? I doubt it will be a lot of changes, because I started with early versions of 3 and many versions of that, not minor, not major changes here, and not major changes. What I'm expecting, because like the changes also that happened in ISO 27201. If you remember, in February, we got a new version of ISO 27202 controls. The changes of 2022. The ISO became 96 controls instead of 114. Fine. Major changes, not major changes, but we have some controls, fine, new controls related to remote work because of COVID-19 pandemic, related to threat analysis, related to DLP, data loss prevention, related to cloud hosting. So it's modern. Some changes here will be reflecting the new technologies that we are living with. So this is my expectations here, Mustafa, fine, or Adam as well, fine. So let's see. Let's see. And I hope also we will make another webinar, fine, to discuss the PCI DSS 4 once released, God willing. Would you recommend taking a certificate? Of course, you have to take the certificate of 3.2.1. Why? Because you are taking here the certificate, Mr. Adel, because of a business requirement. You understand? You are not just getting the certificate because something good, let's do it. No, you are doing it because of business requirement. So and version 4 here, it will be considered for you after 2 years from now. It will be mandated after 2 years from now. So assuming that you got your certification after 3 months, couple of months from now. So this will be 3.2.1. The renewal will be 3.2.1. The third renewal here, fine, it will be enforced to be 4. So you can remember this after 2 years, fine. I hope you understand me, fine. Who should take the certificate, the bank or myself? Yourself here as a fintech or a person. This certificate, PCI DSS for companies, for the organization. No, not a person. It is a corporate certificate, scope certificate. Fine, for bank, for fintech, for merchant, for service provider. There are many types of the implementation here, Adran. Okay, clear? Another questions? Any other questions? Fine. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Fine, please stay in touch. Please stay in touch. If you have any question, fine, just drop us an email, fine, and we can support you with a lot of resources, with a lot of advices, fine. So you can also book an appointment, fine, for any free consultancy, fine. So we can guide you. We can guide you. We can help you a lot to understand here the scope and take the necessary steps, fine, to be PCI DSS compliant. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for attendance today, and see you in another webinar. Bye bye. See you.